Last week, Coinbase's Brian Armstrong revealed in a Twitter Spaces talk the 10 ideas he's most excited by in crypto. He also called on developers to take up the mantle and see them through. Just days later, 150 project applications emerged in response to his calls for innovative ideas. Builders build in bear markets, as the maxim goes, and people listen to Brian. So this list could provide some vital clues to the exciting innovations that await the crypto space in the years to come. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, well, listen up. The first idea that Brian outlines is a concept of a flat coin. This is something that he has been talking about for a while, and the idea also has support from the likes of Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin. In a nutshell, flat coins are a type of stablecoin that are pegged to the cost of living tracker rather than a fiat currency or commodity. Brian proposes linking a decentralized currency to the Consumer Price Index, or known as the CPI, a tool that tracks the average price fluctuations of household goods and services over time. The CPI is perhaps the most well-known measure of inflation in the United States and is watched carefully by investors in all markets. Now, the major advantage of a flat coin over a stablecoin is that it is inflation resistant. Since a stablecoin is pegged to a fiat currency, it's subject to the volatility of that currency. Even quote-unquote stable currencies, like the US dollar, can experience significant inflation. As you can see from this chart, the dollar saw over 8% inflation towards the end of last summer. A token linked to the CPI could be a great solution to this. Brian also mentions a few projects that are already working on this, including Ampleforce Spot, Nuon, and Trueflation. Next, Brian talks about elevating trust with on-chain reputation. The problem that he identifies relates to the Ethereum Name Service, or ENS. While ENS is a great innovation, as it allows users to replace long and complex Ethereum addresses with simple, human-readable names, think johnsmith.eth instead of 0x123456771. You get the picture. Now, as cool as this is, there is no solid way for you to know for sure who you're sending your money to when you're using it. To get around this, Brian proposes a solution inspired by Google's PageRank system. As he explains it, if a domain like Coinbase.com is trustworthy and has an outgoing link to another page, some of the Coinbase.com trust should be attributed to the other page. Expand on this principle, and you have a network of trust across the web. If you apply this to crypto using decentralized mechanisms, the potential is vast, says Brian. It could help finance companies or dApps determine how much to lend to a customer. It could help determine the trustworthiness of a Web3 retail store, think Yelp, and it could act as a gating mechanism for new products, so they're only available to high reputation profiles. While this idea has some Mean Girls or Black Mirror vibes, if it's implemented properly and targets companies and not the little guy, it could greatly reduce the potential for scams, while hopefully minimizing unintended consequences. Next, Brian gets into the money-making side of things. He points out that in Web 2, the best business model has essentially been advertisements. The model has evolved, of course. You had advertisers that would pay based on the number of ad impressions. Then, advertisers paid every time the customer clicked on the ad or actually purchased the product, which is a far more accurate way of measuring the ad's direct impact. In Web 3, Brian suggests that builders could leverage the tremendous potential of smart contracts to go one step further. For instance, smart contracts could hold optional metadata that would enable any referring entity to be rewarded with a small percentage of the purchase, meaning smart contracts can unlock tremendous potential for advertisers. Here, Brian gives an honorable mention to two companies working in the area, Spindle and HypeLab. Next, Brian addresses the issue of uneven access to capital, which hampers innovation globally. In particular, people outside established hubs like Silicon Valley, they find it extremely difficult to secure funding for their projects, despite having promising ideas and the passion to really bring them to fruition. To address this, Brian imagines a platform combining the features of Stripe Atlas, which enables companies to set up quickly, and AngelList, which connects entrepreneurs to investors and has a great jobs board. Brian believes that this type of platform could democratize capital formation, reduce existing barriers to entry, and potentially unleash a wave of innovation from corners of the world previously unable to participate in the global startup ecosystem. He is hoping. The next issue that Brian addresses is the jobs market, proposing a product or service that would function as a worldwide labor marketplace, where people could post anything from simple tasks to full-time contract positions. Again, this idea isn't a radical departure from existing Web 2 solutions like Fiverr or Upwork or the like. However, the added value seems to be payment through crypto, and this is nothing to sneer at. As Brian really rightly notes, it can be a pain to send just a small amount of money across the world, and often comes with some pretty high fees. Using crypto is a great, low-cost solution to this. Brian's honorable mentions here are Braintrust and Earn.com.
Sorry to interrupt you folks, but I have to let you know about the Coin Bureau deals page. My team and I have been able to pull together some of the best promos and discounts in the crypto space. We're talking trading fee discounts of over 50%, thousands of dollars in bonus airdrops, amazing deals at top exchanges, and reduced prices on hardware wallets, and much, much more besides. So just go to coinbureau.com/deals, also linked to below, and find the promo suited to you. And now, back to the video.
For number 6, Brian raises the issue of privacy on Layer 2 transactions. He notes that while L2s have been great for scaling Layer 1s, transactions on L2s are currently public, or at best, pseudo-anonymous. The identities of the address holders can be and have been leaked. Also, centralized entities can get subpoenaed. Of course, we have privacy coins like Monero and Zcash that can better shield identity, but they have a bad rap because some perceive them to be used for illicit money flow. But Brian is optimistic that a move towards greater privacy in crypto is inevitable, likening it to the shift in the internet from HTTP to HTTPS. With the latter, we have a more secure protocol to transfer data over the internet. And although it is slightly slower than HTTP, it has become the industry standard. If you've ever wondered what that lock symbol is before your youtube.com URL or the Coin Bureau deals page, hint, hint, it means the URL is secured using HTTPS, and any money you send will reach the intended recipient. But while the problem is clear, Brian doesn't offer a clear solution to the problem. That is one for the builders. In part 7 of the discussion, Brian talks about expanding the current exchange landscape. He envisions a peer-to-peer exchange where people can trade directly with each other using blockchain technology. He says this kind of system can be especially helpful in places where the traditional banking systems are not reliable and inflation levels are high, like Venezuela and Zimbabwe. We have a video about this, which I'll link to below if you want to learn more. Anyway, Brian advocates for such a peer-to-peer platform to be fully decentralized, so they can't be shut down by pesky governments. Again, he highlights the tremendous potential of smart contracts, noting that they could handle things like escrow, dispute resolution, reputation, and so on. His honorable mention in this section is to the company Onboard. Next, Brian brings up Web3 gaming. It's a huge sector with a market cap of $5.6 billion according to CoinGecko. Again, Brian's ideas aren't particularly innovative if you've been following developments in the space, but they are well laid out and they certainly make sense. He envisions a dynamic gaming ecosystem where players have genuine ownership of their in-game assets through NFTs. These assets would exist in persistent and also immersive worlds, fostering real economies and communities where the value extends beyond the individual gaming experience to a broader network of human and AI players. He mentions exciting developments in the sphere with games like Dark Forest and projects associated with NFTs such as Loot, which are worth checking out even if you're not into gaming. The ninth area that Brian talks about is tokenization, which he sees as being used beyond asset classes like art and real estate. These are commonly discussed use cases, but tokenization can also be used for things that are more liquid, like debt. Here, again, he alludes to incorporating some kind of reputation scoring system, not too dissimilar from traditional rating agencies, but also suggests embedding essential details like terms and conditions directly into the asset's metadata. This, he believes, would help to boost standards, improve access to liquidity, and increase efficiencies. So, builders, what are you waiting for? Let's get into it. And Brian's last point explores the groundbreaking concept of network states. This concept was coined by the tech investor Balaji Srinivasan, who defines it as a community that can act together to raise money, buy land, and eventually gain recognition from existing countries. You might remember that Vitalik, a friend of Balaji, brought together a community of over 200 people in southern Montenegro earlier this year. The event, called Zuzalu, was a community experiment that ran for 2 months and is an example of a network stake that Brian is talking about. Anyway, Brian's idea is to build the software to manage these communities and types of governance structures. He doesn't go into too much detail about what this software would look like, but it is true that there is a lot of friction involved in setting up connecting disparate communities. Software developers could reduce this friction and potentially make quite a few sats while they're at it. But wait, there's more. So Brian followed up his Twitter monologue with another idea: a LinkedIn for Web3. This is easy to imagine, so I won't go into too much detail. One big advantage I will highlight, however, is that blockchain offers the ability for companies to issue NFTs to verify employment or credentials. This is a big deal. For all of its advantages, LinkedIn doesn't do much to prevent people from lying about their experiences, academic record, and so on. This has resulted in some rather nutty developments. You might remember, for instance, a story last year about US Congressman George Santos, who made some spectacular embellishments to his CV during his campaign. He told potential voters that he had a university degree and had worked at both Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. This was completely fabricated. When he was exposed, he told a local paper, "My sins here are embellishing my resume. I'm sorry." Well, George, if Brian's LinkedIn for Web3 solution had been around in time, you might not have made it to Congress. But with fewer sins to your name, you would perhaps sleep better at night. So there we have it, 10 crypto ideas for you builders and innovators out there. I know it's a bear market and crypto news is a little slow these days, but I, for one, am really excited about what the future holds. Are you, though? What do you think of Brian's ideas? Are there any other ideas or innovations that you are particularly excited about? Let us know in the comments below. And as usual, like, subscribe, and head over to our deals page. The link is below for some of the best discounts out there. They include up to $40,000. Yeah, you heard that right, in bonus airdrops at leading crypto exchanges. And if you just can't get enough of Coin Bureau, I don't blame you. For more quality content, you can check out our socials, and don't forget to sign up to our newsletter for more exclusive insights about the crypto market and where it might be headed next. See you next time.